Okay, so we are, what are we doing? What did we say we're doing?
Buttons.
Oh, buttons for clearing cache?
Yep.
All right. So, huh?
Why would you want to clear cache?
Let's assume that it's like seasonal or something like that, and you've decided that, yeah, you want, an updated version of the cache.
I'm going to drive to Chicago first. Yeah, I changed my mind halfway through. And I'm going to drive to Chicago. And then I'm going to miss your flight. Yeah. Right.
Who?
What?
Yeah, what?
You missed the flight to Chicago.
Oh.
You have to go somewhere else instead.
Oh, so you got to change change how you booked your tickets at this point. I'm just thinking as you're thinking through your itinerary.
But you're not going to clear your cache, that's all. That's all. The cache is only there for the bigger flights.
Yeah, Durr. All right. Oh, I hate all of you.
On recording. You are being reported.
What are you going to report me to? You said show it to Dr. Locker's going to laugh. All right, so no, you don't. All right, so that's not the screen I want. I want my list this screen thing. I'm gonna throw a button on there. There's my resources layout. Man, we should go an extra hour tonight since we were an hour short last week. My throat feels great. I'm good to go. I am running short on my offerings, but activity airport detail. This is the screen, right? Okay, so what I'll go ahead and do is I'll add a, well, I guess
Drop a button in.
that might look ugly though.
You're not about that design.
How do you know? How do you know?
Many conversations.
Well, just because Mr. Gonzalez usually handles all my design.
Is he here tonight?
He is. He's in the car. Let's see. So we're gonna say
Clear cache.
when we say reload cache. So that's really what we're doing. So we're saying I want to reload this screen. So reload / update cache. That's kind of better. Update cache. Yeah, let's go with that. So then what we'll do here in our airport detail activity flippy dealy thingy, this guy right here, this is the dude that actually does our getting our data, right? So we're going to go ahead and write a function here, public void on reload cache button pressed UV. All right, so what this guy will do is he's first going to go ahead and delete that destination on the, so let me steal that line that's inside of our, there's too many things now. Destination thread. So here's our reference. Actually, we could probably do it inside of code cache. I think I will. I think I'm going to add this to my airport code cache object, just so it's all kind of self-contained in there, where I can ask that guy to delete the cache. So we'll have a public void clear cache, and this guy will go to that database reference, and then what is it? Ref dot, what is it? Remove value. I don't need to respond to it. Actually, what I can do is, oh yeah, this would be a good one. You'll like this one. So this is something we haven't looked at before. So before we've done remove value like this, right? Just the normal one. There's a version of this that takes a completion listener as a parameter, where it says, let me know once you've done your job. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one. And this is what, a new completion listener like this. So whenever it finally finishes removing the value from the database, officially making the cache completely clear, then this onComplete gets called. And what do I want to do inside of this? I want to say myself dot, well, actually, I really want to call the get data thing here, but I'll show you this anyways. I'll just put it in here. System.out.println cache cleared. What I was going to do is I was going to go ahead and actually call our get data from this. Like after I've cleared it, go ahead and retrieve the data. But in order to do that, I need, well, actually, I can do this. I just need those two pieces of information. So then I can say myself dot, do I not have a myself in here? I don't. So private airport code cache myself. And then in the constructor here, we'll say this dot myself is equal to this. Then down here, I can say myself get data, and I can pass it AA and LL. Okay. Now, what I'll probably do, we probably should clear it outside of here anyways, but just as a precaution in case they didn't, I'm going to say LL.clear. So I'll dump everything from my linked list. Then I'll say AA.notify dataset changed. So I clear the linked list, I update the dataset, then I call get data, this local method here, which will then hit look for the cache. Won't find it because I'm only calling this code after I have successfully deleted the cache. So this allows me to tell my database I want to remove a value, but then it also says, let me know, notify me when it has been successfully removed. That's what this onComplete is. This is called a callback function. Okay, so this function is getting called back once the task is complete. And at that point in time, I'll empty out my linked list, update my list view, and then load data normally, which should cause a failure for it checking the cache, right? And then go to the alternative. You might say that this is a little bit inefficient, that we just deleted cache, then we're immediately checking cache. Probably is, so we probably should actually do this guy right here. That destination thread. So if we were going to do that, what we'd want to do so we don't duplicate code is we'd probably want to take those 3 lines there, put it into another function, public void, let's call it private rather. private void get data screen scrape. And this guy would do those couple of things. I would have the same parameters come into that. So it would still take an array adapter and still take a linked list. So then down here, instead of these guys, instead of those 3 lines, I would say this dot, I'm sorry, myself dot, get data screen scrape, passing it AA and LL. Because this is the way we get data screen scraped, which then allows me to do this up here. Once we've deleted the stuff from our, cache, then I can go ahead, clear, notify, and instead of calling get data, I'll call get data screen scrape. I'll skip the step of checking cache because I'm only in here because I just deleted the cache. So I created a function that is getting data screen scrape. It's only accessible inside here. I made it private. And that function is called by either my clear cache function or my get data function. So now what I can do out here in our activity detail thing is I'm going to go ahead and set, I'm going to make this guy a global variable. So there's my airport code cache. What did I do to what? I just moved it up here. I defined it up here inside the class, but outside of onCreate. I'm still setting it inside of onCreate. Then I could initially get the data the way I was getting the data before. But then if somebody clicks that button, then I can say this dot ACC dot clear cache. And I need my array adapter, I need my linked list, I need those guys to be global as well. My array adapter, my linked list is global, but I need my array adapter to be global as well. I'll just move this guy. So I have access to my linked list and my array adapter globally so that I can pass them to clear cache here. And clear cache will go and delete from the cache and then load by screen scraping. And loading by screen scraping does what? It updates the cache. But I'm not going to risk updating the cache until after the cache has been successfully deleted. Make sense? Now, one thing to keep in mind here, though, we're not caring too much about this right now, but we are entering some fairly dangerous waters from the perspective of, if this app is on the App Store, we got 4 zillion people using this app, I might delete my cache, and before I'm able to replace the cache, you actually replace the cache. So we might have multiple people rating to the same database because we only have a single cache. Does that make sense? If we put user authentication in this, we could have cache on a per user basis if we wanted to. But just something to keep in mind is that if I delete the Milwaukee cache and before it's finished screen scraping, you've created new Milwaukee cache, I'm going to immediately overwrite your created Milwaukee cache with my own Milwaukee cache, which probably should be the same. It's just there's an inefficiency there, right? Yeah, it was already up there. All right, so when I hit the reload cache button, it's going to call clear cache. What does clear cache do? Clear cache removes the thing from the database, clears the linked list once that's complete, notifies the data set change, so it should clear out. Then it's going to screen scrape the data, get me fresh data. Screen scraping the data does my airport destination thread, which ultimately gets the data, but also updates the cache, gives me new cache. Let me hook up that button. On click is right here. Oh, read-only and non-real-time mode activated in the data viewer to improve browser performance. Ew, interesting. I don't like that guy. Well, then what we'll do. I can't? Oh, I can do it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here, I'm just going to remove Atlanta from this guy. That way we prove that it did delete it and bring it back. So I removed Atlanta from the cache. Well, actually, this will probably be real time. Yeah, so we'll probably see it delete here on this screen. So now I'll go to my airport list. MKE. So I'll click on MKE. That brings up my Milwaukee stuff here. Now I'm going to say, you know what? I actually want to refresh this. It's been, I don't know how old this cache is or something like that. So I'll click this button. All that stuff just got deleted. Once it's done, I'm now refreshing all my stuff here. We see it empty here. All the stuff is back. Atlanta's back in there, and here's my list. So now we have a nice button for always reloading the cache if we really wanted to. Okay. All right, so next, as we're clicking through here, we probably want to keep track of our itinerary, as you were pointing out, right? So what kind of what kind of data structure will we use to hold on to our itinerary as we go? Okay. Why a list?
Because we're adding things to it.
Okay. Do you know how many places you're going to have on your itinerary? Could be 1, could be 5, could be 5,000 if you really have nothing to do.
Actually, it's a list. You can add the size as you go.
I want a stack.
Okay. Tell me why a stack.
First in, last out. So like it'll keep it in the order that we're popping and pushing things onto the stack. So, and all we really need to keep track of probably is the airport code. So we could dynamically reconstruct it off of the stack later on. I don't know. That's
Okay.
the best I'm going to give you.
So you're thinking a stack of strings.
A stack of airport codes, yes.
But we're going to want to see all of them though, right?
Huh?
We're going to want to see all of them. So with the stack, you can see them all?
Yeah, well, we'll have a
pop
way of...
them off the stack and then see it as we pop them off, I suppose.
Yeah, so what you're thinking is it's going to be easiest to keep track of it by having a stack. Now, have we done stacks yet?
No.
Good. We get an opportunity to write our own.
It was Maddie's idea, but I recognized the genius of it.
It was John's idea first.
Not to write a stack.
Huh?
No,
No, it was a great idea, John. I appreciate it. You know, stacks are like the easiest data structures to write.
I haven't done it, so we'll find out.
This will be on the final. That'll make the final easier.
Writing a stack?
Yeah.
No, I've never written one.
Well, here, let's just add it to our notes real quick.
I'll figure it out.
And then I'll do one of those things like I did at the end of the class that one day when you're like you did not just write that down.
Turbo mode.
Well, when you're in a rush, so you got to compress. No, we were running, it was in this class. We had a linked list.
Yeah.
And we were running out of time at the end, so I like didn't pay. When I'm usually writing code for an audience, I pace myself, right? And yeah, I wasn't pacing myself.
That was the lecture.
This is not my normal speed. This is snail's this is John Shoddy speed. All right, so we have a stack data structure here. So stacks are linear linked data structures, like linked lists. We could really say they are simplified linked list that represents a last in, first out queue. So like a stack of magazines, the last magazine you put on top of the stack will be the first one you take off the stack. All right, so what does that mean? We need to be able to add to the front. We need to be able to remove from the front. That's it. Add front, remove front. It's a pretty simple linked list, isn't it? All right, so there are 3 functions. So pop, push. Now, pop and push are the de facto required functions for a stack. There is a third function that, as far as I'm concerned, is required. It's called peek. So pop removes and returns the top of the stack. Push adds a value to the top of the stack. Peek returns the top of the stack without removing it. So peek just lets us look at the top of the stack, but we don't actually modify the nature of the stack. Okay? So we're going to create something here. We're going to make a stack specifically for our itinerary. I'll go back to my project here. I'll right click. I'll say new Java class. We'll call this itinerary stack. All right, and our itinerary stack is going to be a stack of strings, at least for right now. Okay, because as we click on those different things, we're really getting just cities and airport codes, and we want to kind of keep track of that stuff. All right, so we are going to have now, these guys are going to have strings, so we actually don't need to create our own nodes for the payload side of things, but we do need a node for the next node portion of this. So I'm then going to create another guy, new Java class. This is going to be an itinerary stack node. And what are we storing in here? We are storing private string payloads, and we are storing private itinerary stack nodes next node. And our constructor for this guy will take in a string payload. We'll set this dot payload equal to payload. This dot next node equal to null, because it currently points nowhere. We'll go ahead and give ourselves a getter for payload and a getter setter for next node. So we'll generate getter for payload. We'll generate getter and setter for next node. All right, so there's our itinerary stack node. So it keeps track of a payload and keeps track of another node in the link. So this is a lot like a linked list. We just won't have a whole bunch of functions for it. We're just going to have push, pop, peek. So now we go back to our itinerary stack. And itinerary stack is going to have a private itinerary stack node. We'll call this guy top. So instead of head for a linked list, usually we call it the top of the stack. Public itinerary stack constructor, we'll set this dot top equal to null. It might be handy for us also to keep track of a count. We might want to know how many things are in our itinerary. So this dot count is equal to 0. Then we have our 3 functions. Public. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have them return itinerary stack node. So I'm going to say public itinerary stack node peak. This guy will return this dot top. He doesn't remove it. He just shows you the top of the stack. And stack could be the empty stack, so he's going to give you a null value if there's nothing there. Okay? So this just lets us peek at the top of the stack to see if anything is there. Doesn't modify it at all. Then we have public void push. This guy's going to take in a string. We'll call it itinerary, something like that. Or string destination. I like destination. All right, and this guy's going to go ahead and create a new itinerary stack node. Itinerary stack node ISN is equal to a new itinerary stack node, passing it that destination. All right, now we need to slot this guy into the top of the stack. We're adding to the front of the list, pushing onto the top of the stack. So if this dot top is equal to null, if I currently have an empty list, then this dot top is equal to ISN. And we're done. Else, if I don't have the empty stack, that means I have something, I already have something, right? So I need to say ISN.set next node equal to this dot top. So I'll make my new node point to the same thing the top points to. Then I'll set this dot top equal to ISN. If it's already the empty stack, just make the top point to the new guy. If it's not the empty stack, make the new guy point to the same place top points to, then update top to point to the new guy. Either way, this dot count plus plus. So that's push. Public itinerary stack node pop. Okay, now ultimately this guy is going to return the top of the stack, but we might have to do some dismantling of the stack before we return it. So I'm going to say itinerary stack node to return is equal to this dot top. So I'll give myself another value that points at that guy. Okay, could be null. If I try to pop off the empty stack, that could be a null value right there, and that's fine. We haven't broken any rules yet. You only break a rule if you start trying to call functions or fields on null values. Okay, so if I have a node, if I have a null node and I say, give me your payload, Java is not going to be happy. So I just asked for the payload of something that doesn't exist. But if you ask to pop a value off the empty stack, it'll give you a null value. That's fine. Okay, so that guy's the guy I'm going to return. Then I'm going to say if this dot top is not equal to null. If there's actually something on this stack right now, I don't want to forget, so at the end I'll say this dot count minus minus. So I'll definitely be removing something from the stack, right? All right, so now what I want to do is I want top to point to top's next node. So the new top is going to be what used to be the second guy. This dot top is equal to this dot top dot get next node. Make sense? I'm updating top to be his own next node because I'm going to be returning node to return, which is the old top. But now I need to fully disconnect node to return. Set his next node to null. So I fully disconnects him from the list. So I update top to be the new top, fully disconnect node to return, decrement count, And then down here outside of that if, I'll return node to return. I'm returning the top of the stack regardless. But if the top of the stack was actually a thing, I want to disconnect that thing and update the top to be the new top. Disconnect it, decrement my number of things. I have less things in the stack now. Outside of that if statement, I'm going to return the guy I'm going to return. All right, this makes sense?
Yeah, can you go back to your itinerary stack node?
No.
Eventually, are we gonna have to turn this into a linked list though?
Oh, here's the linked list.
Are we going to have to turn it into what we think of normally as a linked list, not a stack? Because eventually we're going to have to get to a point where, you know, I don't know, let's assume that I initially put into my itinerary I want to go to Atlanta, and then I change my mind, I don't want to go to Atlanta anymore. With this, we're going to have to pop everything off till we get to Atlanta and then push everything back on. We'd have to store it somewhere else. Where with a traditional linked list, we just reassess the head and go.
Yes, and okay, let's say if you're going to display it in a list view, the answer is yes. But the whole reason we're using a stack here is if you click on Atlanta and we push something onto the stack,
Right.
and then you change your mind and go back, we'll just pop from the stack.
My thinking is though, what if we do that 3, 4, 5 things down the line? So you know, let's say that from Atlanta I'm going to Florida, but instead of going, from Atlanta to Florida anymore, I want to go from Milwaukee to Florida. Right?
Yeah, but you would do that by going back and forth through our connection stuff. So every single time we click on an airport, we're pushing that airport onto our itinerary. Every single time we hit back, we change our mind, we're popping something off of our stack.
I see what you're saying. You're saying, like, can I change one airport that's farther down in the stack and still have the same itinerary the rest of the way?
Right. That's what I'm saying. So like if I want to go to Florida, right, from Milwaukee, and I have 13 different airports there, but then I want to take the 7th one out because I don't know, timing or whatever, right?
But that's
You would probably build that though through our current structure because you want to make sure that what you're removing, there's a direct flight between the two airports on either side. So you'd want to build that through our direct flights. You can't just look at a list of, here's the 4 stops on my itinerary. I'm going to remove stop 3 and hope everything's fine. Hope that stop 2 goes to stop 4.
Okay.
Now, where you might need to convert this to some kind of list thing is if you're going to show the list of things in a list view.
That's what I thought we were trying to do.
We are going to do that. Well, you will be doing that along with something else. But yeah. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect for you those things.
Okay.
Then you'll have to display them for me. There'll be a button that says like show itinerary or something like that. All right. So this is our itinerary stack. So what we'll do here is inside of core, I'll create an instance of itinerary stack. So public static itinerary stack current itinerary is equal to new itinerary stack. All right, so I have a current itinerary that's getting built, right? So every single time I click on an airport, from my detail screen. So my detail screen is like setting my home airport. That's not a destination. That's like where I'm starting from, right? So every single time I do that, I suppose we actually probably would toss that onto there. Yeah, we'll do that. Because that would be part of your itinerary. Milwaukee to Chicago to Fort Lauderdale, just because Milwaukee was your first one. It's all right. So what I'll do here is on our initial airport list activity, so here's our code where we actually start our new activity. What we want to do is from here before I start that next activity, I want to push the airport I just selected onto my itinerary stack. So core dot, what I'm going to do, well, no, I think this is fine. So we're going to say core dot, what is it, current itinerary? Current selected or current itinerary dot push. So I'm going to push a string onto this guy. The string is going to be my selected airport dot city followed by a dash for right now. That'll just be our special case for our first thing. Actually, it's always spaces before, right? So we'll just put a space between it. Then selected airport dot airport code. So when I'm on my giant airport list, before I go to my detail list that shows me the destinations from there, I'll push onto my current itinerary that information. Whenever I'm on my detail list, where is airport detail? And I click on one of these things, I will add to this city name, and I'll add to this my airport code. So every single time I navigate from a page where I selected airport, I will push onto my itinerary the city space airport code. Make sense? Now, what if I go back? So if I go to this screen here, so I'm on this screen, and I click on Atlanta, so that should get me there quick, and then wherever. So now so at this point I have Milwaukee to Atlanta. Now if I change my mind about Atlanta, I hit back. I hit this back button here. I want to pull Atlanta off my itinerary. And then we'll add something else onto the itinerary. Did I have Chicago in there? No, I didn't. But, so I want to do something with the back button. Activities have an on back pressed function that sends you back. We can override that and do something in the middle. So what I'm going to do here is this is on my airport detail activity. I'm going to say on back pressed. So this is a function that's built into all activities. And the default super on back press just takes you to the previous activity. We still want to do that. But before we do that, we want to say core dot current itinerary dot pop. Undo the guy we just did, right? So now, what I'm going to do is here on our itinerary, where's my detail here, this guy. I'm going to add another button here that says view itinerary, something like that. We'll just put that at the top. So right now, view itinerary is just going to show us a text-based version of our stack. So I'm going to go and build like a little display thing. But for your homework, you'll have a screen that shows you like a list view of your stuff. But that's just only going to be the first easy part of the homework, kind of drilling, since we've already done that a bunch of times. So let me go to my stack here. I'm going to teach my stack how to display itself. So public void display, and I will also teach my stack nodes how to display themselves. Public void display, and this guy will say system.out.println. Let's do, this will look pretty good. So I'll say system.out.print, and I'm going to print this dot payload concatenated with, and I'll put a little arrow in here. Something like that. So that's what it looks like when a node displays itself. I'm doing a print, not a print len. That way it won't kick it down a line. You'll see why in a second. And then for my stack's going to do is I'm going to have to traverse the whole stack. Okay, so I'll say itinerary stack node cur node is equal to this dot top, while cur node is not equal to null. As long as I have something in here, I'll say system dot out dot print. I'll just start off with a couple of asterisks like that, since that helps us filter on it. I'm going to put that before the while loop. Itinerary. Then inside of here, I'll say cur node dot display. Then cur node is equal to cur node dot get next node. And then afterwards, I'll say system dot out dot println. I'll just kick it down to the next line. All right, so this is me asking my itinerary stack to display itself. It'll print out some asterisks followed by itinerary, then go through asking each node to display itself. And what does that look like? That just says, here I am, followed by an arrow. All right, so we should be able to build our whole itinerary, then click that button. So here in our detail activity, this guy here, we need to give ourselves a public void on display itinerary button pressed. And this guy will say core.current itinerary.display. Then we go hook that up. Here's view itinerary. Here's my on click. Here's my on display. We'll go ahead and hit play here. Open up logcat. Let's clear this guy out. All right, so let's go Milwaukee to, oh, we have all those things still printing out, that's fine. To Atlanta, to, I don't know, Anchorage. Okay, it says not in cache. It's going to go ahead and load this guy. It'll fill it up. All right, so now I'm going to click on View Itinerary. When I clicked, I did push it onto my stack, did I not? Oh, I think the system out here on this always presses enter, even if you just do a print.
Is it because you have the stars in there?
It is. But I was trying to do it all on one big long line, and because of how logcat works, this worked. Yeah, because, here, I'll just take these off. Because of how logcat works, yeah. Here's, actually we walked it backwards because of how it, yeah. So really we should have, well, no, this is fine. A stack works out fine for the back and forth stuff. We just need, when we display it, we need to display our stack in reverse. Yeah. So I displayed it forwards, that's fine, but we see we have all our stuff in there.
It's a return trip.
Yep. Yeah, this is the return trip. Okay, so right now you have a stack that is, we're showing the contents of the stack this way. What you need to do for your homework is you need to have, instead of a textual version of this, you'll have a button that shows you a screen that shows your itinerary, probably in the list view. And then we're going to add a screen. So we're doing two different things. We're drilling two different pieces of stuff that we've already done. One is more list views. Shouldn't be anything new, just going through the motions of more practice with that. The other one is going to be more screen scraping, where we're going to do the thing for asking for destinations on a specific date. Okay. This is for your assignment, yep. So I already made you the stack.
I know. I thought we were gonna be like, that's
No. Okay, so here is like the string for the thing with a to and from date. You know, so you can give it the date range that you're looking for direct flights for and get specialized versions of that. So you're saying, where does Milwaukee fly direct in March? Where does Milwaukee fly direct in December? Things like that. These would not be things that come off of cache. This is you asking for targeted direct flights within a month. All right, so I'll give you the link and kind of show you how it works. So you're going to have another screen here on this this main thing. Let me just bounce back a couple times. So from here, if I on any one of these screens, so here this is showing me direct flights, I should be able to select a date. I should say, show me flights for a specific date. I'll look at how it works. I might do it just for a month instead of a specific date in the month. It's really the same thing. It's just what the URL will end up looking like. So show me a version of this page for direct flights there, but that will not operate off of cache. That's just saying, I'm not relying on cache. Cache is just for quick direct flights. I'm looking for very specific, what are the direct flights in May, or the direct flights in March. And that's going to require you to make a thread call to this site passing. So if I do what's my select? So I can say a month. So I can say, show me flights in October of 2019. Apply. And this shows you the range of dates from the beginning of October to the end of October.
Do you want the date implemented within like a screen that the user can select, or can we just hardwire it in for now?
Well, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter to me. I'll probably choose to have you do the months instead of individual dates.
Okay.
So you'll probably have a screen that lets them choose January through December.
And that would be pretty much right away, or where would you incorporate
on that
that?
one screen.
Well, so yeah, you would do this.
Oh, okay.
And I'll try to draw you a picture of what the screen should look like, but you'd hit a button that says show flights for month. You'll click on that, then it'll ask you what month. And then it'll kick in and then show you, and you can just assume it's the current year for right now. Okay? So that way you'll only have one extra screen in the middle. So you'll select a month, January through December, and then it'll show you the direct flights with the same screen we already have that were the result of screen scraping this site passing in that information for the month. Okay, so we're not doing anything new. All we're doing is practicing list view stuff without me giving you any preheated information, and then also doing a fresh screen scrape without me giving you any preheated information, even though you have a very close example of it with our current screen scrape stuff. Okay, so we're drilling things we've already learned. Make sense? Questions, comments, concerns, bribes? So it should be a super easy, not time-consuming homework assignment.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Good.
Well, we still got another 53 minutes. We were an hour early last week.
True.
We were 3 hours